Good afternoon, everybody. So very happy to see you after New Year. Anyway, so I think I said during the New Year, we had a lot of expectation about New Year. At the New Year day, I don't think you have something really new. Nothing new, right? Everything was same, the sun, the moon, the weather, everything was same. So anyway, so happy to see you, all of you, after New Year, after long holiday. Also, I asked to do little homework. I think all of you have done. So before I start the new lesson, I will do short revision about the Lamrim beginning to the till today class, because we have been studying Lamrim. So when you try to practice Lamrim, then we really don't know how to practice, how to start the practice of Lamrim, practice of Dharma. Generally, there are two different ways you can begin practice of Dharma, practice of Lamrim. Actually, practice of Lamrim, practice of Dharma is same, because in Tibetan most time we use Lamrim, practice of Dharma. There are two different ways. If you are quite intelligent, if you have an analytical mind, then you have to start the practice of Dharma from the two truths, conventional and ultimate truth. If you are not, really intelligent, if you don't have a lot of analytical mind, you can start Lamrim from the rely on the gurus or master. How you can start the practice of Dharma from the two truths? Generally, all phenomena has two aspects, conventional and ultimate truth. So we have a lot of misunderstandings, we have a lot of misperceptions, because we don't realize, we don't try to understand the truth, the reality. We always clinging, we always craving based on what we see, what we understood. We never try to go beyond our ordinary concept. That's why we have a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of misperception, a lot of negative thoughts. All of this happen because we don't realize emptiness, which is there's something there we haven't realized, we haven't discovered, we never try to understand. That's why we have all these problems. Then every day you just think about the reality of all phenomena, a reality of yourself, and finally you try to practice of true selflessness of phenomena, selflessness of self, person or being. Then how you can enter into practice or meditation on emptiness of being or person, emptiness of phenomena. It is quite simple, but due to different language, due to different instruction, we always have a confusion. The thing about when we say I, we always say, I'm happy, I'm not happy, I want to do, I don't want to do. Or we always have to talk about I, but we never try to understand who I am, how I am exist. That's why at the beginning of Heart Sutra, 5 aggregates also empty of inherent existence. It starts from the 5 aggregates. That means we, I, being, human being, are merely designation on 5 aggregates. Without 5 aggregates, without depending on 5 aggregates, we cannot say, the person, this person, and I am. So I, me, self are merely designation on 5 aggregates. Then, thinking this way, then you going to realize the thing which is I perceive is not as which is not as I perceived. There's something there which is I haven't perceived. Then finally you're going to understand emptiness. Once you understand emptiness, then you're going to realize the conventional truth. Even though you understand, you realize, the house, car, food, everything, it doesn't mean you really realize conventional truth. In order to realize, in order to understand, in order to, in order to have fully understanding of conventional truth, first you must understand, first realized ultimate truth. After you realize ultimate truth, then when you look at, any phenomena, any objects, for you, everything look like, illusion. Everything look like dream for you. When you realize everything look like delusion and dream, then there's no any really basis and solid basis, right, to attach, to anger, to clinging. Then, if you have this kind of experience and knowledge, then you're really going to feel my negative thoughts is more, reduced than the last year. I have a lot positive mental attitude, less negative mental attitude. So you can start, reflect on the two truths. Then slowly, based on the true truth, then you're going to understand the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths you're going to realize, you're going to understood when you understood the conventional truth. Conventional truth. Within the conventional truth, all the concept, cause and condition, cause and effect, everything explained within the conventional truth. Therefore, first you have to know, the concept of how things arise based on cause and condition, how things, decay, despair based on cause and condition. Then slowly you need to think, I have sufferings, I have happiness, but I'm looking more happiness. I'm looking ultimate happiness. How I can achieve the happiness? I can experience the suffering every day. I can experience the suffering in daily life. How can I reduce? How I can minimize? How I can eliminate? When you ask this question yourself, then the happiness you cannot simply achieve based on simple practice like chanting, recitation, praying. You really have to put lot of effort about like a meditation. Also, the suffering which is you always want to reduce, even though you can see, the simple, sentient being, the insect, ant, they're also looking happiness. They try to reduce, they try to escape, escape from the suffering. Then you're going to understand the, first two truths. Truth of suffering, origin of suffering, truth of cessation, the path which is lead to the cessations. The based on two truths, then you able to generate, you able to have a strong belief and faith into Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Based on Four Noble Truths, then you have a strong belief in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Then, you just recite, you do the chanting for taking refuge into Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So when you're taking refuge into Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, you should not look at the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha as just, object of your praying, object of your refuge, taking refuge. When you look at the Buddha, when you remember the Buddha, you must, have a strong belief into Buddha, also have a strong aspiration, you yourself, to be Buddha. You yourself want to be Buddha as the Buddha Shakyamuni. When you reflect on the Dharma, you not just making reflection on the Dharma, also you need to generate, you need strong, motivation to develop, to generate, to accomplish the Dharma in your mind. Right? Then finally you can see you will become a Buddha. In order to become a Buddha, you have to accomplish, you have to practice the Dharma. You have to realize emptiness. Then one day you become Sangha. Right? First Buddha, you can become Buddha when you have the ultimate Dharma, grow within your mind. Then you become Sangha. So there's an order to taking refuge. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is a order of how to take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. There's another order, how you yourself become Sangha, how you can have a Dharma, how you become a Buddha. Then, in order to have all this practice, then most important one, rely on your Guru, rely on, perfect Guru, perfect teacher. That's why, I hope you remember in the Lamrim said, basis of all good quality. Right? Basis of all good qualities, which is rely on Guru, rely on, like a master or teacher. Then you must have, the Guru who has all who has all those qualities. Then you must have a strong belief in the Guru. Just follow the Guru's instruction. Then, within the instruction which is you receive from Guru, the Guru explain you, the path of small scope. So, all the Lamrim practices, all the Dharma practices, practice of Dharma, practice of Lamrim, include into practice three practices: practice of small scope being, practice of middle, practice of great scope beings. So we have to practice the Dharma step by step. Step number one, you have to practice the small scope being path, which is mainly the renunciation of the three realms. So when you practice of renunciation, you have to start the renunciation based on, meditate on impermanence. So far, we have a lot of kind of lazy mind. We have a kind of motivation to practice Dharma, but we are not sincere about study Dharma, about practice Dharma, about meditation. About meditation, we are not serious about all the practices, because the first problem we have, because we don't understand impermanent. Therefore, look at, even though most of us, except our 2 or 3, most of us over 50. Our age is over 50, like 50 years old, 57, 60, 70 years old. But still we have a lot of idea to making more money. Also we have a lot of thoughts. So also we think we're going to sit there another 100 years. Right? The first problem we have, because we don't practice impermanence. That's why Buddha Shakyamuni, when he first explained the Four Noble Truth, first truth of suffering, within the truth of suffering, first he explained, introduced impermanence. When you reflect about impermanence, you are not looking, this object is impermanent, that person impermanent, the old lady, the old man are impermanent, right? You should think, I am impermanent. Look at when you walk, for example, I walk from here to Lavender many times. So before the Lavender MRT, I see there's a big condo, right? Condo. So evening or afternoon, every day I can see there are many old, men and women, they just stay on the chair like this, smoking, and somebody, having like coffee. But when we see them, we thought, look at the old man, look at the old lady, what they are doing? Just going home, sleep in the bed. We think this way. We never think one day I became like that. Maybe I became I became worse than them. Right? Still, they can come out, they can drink themselves, they can eat themselves. They don't need any, kind of helper. One day we will become more worse than them. We never think, impermanence. So then you just meditate, for a few minutes about impermanence, particularly, subtle impermanence. Everything around you, things changing momentarily. You yourself also changing momentarily. Look like, everything, all phenomena, rushing, moving towards, end of certain point. But there's nothing end. But everybody moving towards end of this human life. Then impermanence. Once you remember impermanence, then also you need to reflect about, the quality of human life, how difficult to achieve, how easy to decay, how easy to, change. Then mainly you have to meditate on, the small scope being, impermanence, decay, aging, death. After your death, if you have a lot of negative karma, then so we will born in lower realms, hungry ghosts, animal, hell. So then you need to reflect how much positive karma, how much good merit you have been accumulating in this life. This year, this day, only today, how many negative, positive karma you have accumulated since this morning till now. How much? How much negative karma through physically, mentally, verbally, how much negative karma you have accumulated since morning until now. Just forget yesterday, last year, since we born. We don't know. Probably, everybody, have accumulated lot negative karma than the positive. Because our mind, we have a lot of negative mental attitudes. Attachment, desire, anger, hatred, laziness, lot of. Each time our mind acts as a negative way, suddenly we accumulate negative karma. You don't have to act physically. Then you have a short time to meditate on, your karma in generally, positive, negative karma. Then within 1 day, within 1 hour, within 1 second, then the negative karmas or positive karmas always follow with you as a shadow. Right? Then when you think this way, then you are entering into practice of renunciation. That means your practice is now, move second steps, middle being. So then, when you try to meditate on renunciation, then mainly you have to realize suffering in the lower realms, not only lower realms, also suffering in the higher realms like human and celestial being. Then, if you're thinking the nature of suffering, when you think about the cause of suffering, then you can see all the samsara is nature of suffering. Nature of suffering. In the past, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, I think the people have a simple life. 1,000 years simple. They don't see a lot of sufferings and problem. They have mostly poverty, not enough food, not enough clothes. They have weather. Sometimes there's a cold weather, hot weather. I don't think there's a lot of problems, a lot of suffering, which is we have nowadays. In order to realize, suffering, in order to experience suffering, we don't have to really think about the lower realms. Think about just simple Singapore. Since morning till you can see, so many sufferings and problems within you, your families, your co-workers, your neighbors, everybody facing physical problems, emotional problems, and mental problems. All the suffering which we have because, due to the cause and condition of suffering. Then you need to think about you want to be happy, or you wish to happy all sentient beings. Right? Then you need to think about what is the connection me and others. Who I am come from, where I am come from. I come from the previous life. So, who were my mother in the past years? Who were my brother and sister in the previous lives? Then you can see all sentient beings, without exception, used to be your brother, your sister, your mother, your father. Then you really need to think, no. If I wish to be, happy only for myself, then it is not really fair. Then slowly you need to generate great compassion towards all sentient beings, based on knowing the previous life, based on accepting the next life. Then all sentient being has a connection with you. The connection was not simply a connection as a brother, sister. Connection is very special. You have a connection with all sentient beings as your mother. Then, you move the third steps, which is practice of great being. You can say Mahayana practice. That means small scope being practice transfers as a great being, middle being. The middle being practice transfers as a great being. Then I hope you remember how to practice great compassion, how to generate great compassion. Then make sure you remember first compassion with the attachment. Okay, compassion mix, influence contaminated by attachment. Second, pure compassion. Third, great compassion. Right? Most of we have compassion. We have a compassion with our relatives. All this compassion, polluted by attachment. Then sometimes you see, someone has a really problem. The person, the being is not, your relatives. Then you generate compassion. The compassion is very pure. The last, you really have to, generate the great compassion. And I hope you remember why we named great compassion. When you have a compassion or love towards your relatives, the object, the people are very little. I don't think you have more than, 100 relatives. When you have a compassion, love towards your relative, you are only looking at 100 people. The object is very limited, very little. Second, when you extend the object of compassion for all sentient beings, then the object of great compassion become limitless, numberless. The object is much greater than the object of just simply, you have a compassion towards your relatives. The great compassion, because the object is great. That means great compassion have to focus on all sentient beings. When you focus all sentient beings as your object of your great compassion, then there's no more any enemies. When you look at him, he also you are like a brother and sister. When you look at her also you are a brother and sister. Then you have a equal sense of brotherhood, all sentient beings. Then there's no enemy. There's no any more object of anger and hatred. That means your anger, hatred already minimized, already reduced based on practice of great compassion. Right? Now, great compassion is which number within the 7? Do you remember which number is? Great compassion is number which? 6? 5, 6, 4, 2? Yeah, 5. 5, right? 5. Number 1? Yeah, recognizing all sentient beings as your mother. Number 2? Remember their kindness. Number 3? Punish. Number 4? Love. Number 5? Compassion. Okay, compassion in number 5. In order to generate great compassion, because the great compassion is, do you remember the Mahayana practices based on bodhicitta, rooted by great compassion, right? Based on bodhicitta, the rooted by great compassion. The great compassion is the root of the Mahayana practices, root of the bodhicitta. That means great compassion is number 5, right? In order to generate, in order to meditate on great compassion, you have to go through the first 4 steps. 4 first steps. Clear? 4 steps. That means you really have to accept, not just simply say, all sentient being is like my mother. You really have to accept. Right? Can you accept? Can you accept all sentient being as your mother? You cannot. Why not? You can accept, but you don't have to act as a dear child for them, all sentient beings. Huh? You really have to accept. You really have to accept because you yourself consider as a Mahayana practitioner. You yourself believe, follower of Mahayana teaching, Mahayana tradition. You can accept all sentient beings as your mother when you understood, me have a connection with all sentient beings as your mother. Anyway, so there's a 7 cause and effect, for generating bodhicitta. Then great compassion. Then number 6, altruism. Number 7, bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, right? Bodhicitta. If you fully practice step by step, step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If when you have a number 6, step number 6, then you able to generate bodhicitta. If you cannot practice, generate the altruism, then there's no way, you can generate or achieve bodhicitta. No, because 7 cause and effect. First cause missing, you cannot have a second effect. Second missing, you cannot have a third. Okay, so then you must have a longer time to meditate or reflect, making a reflection, the 7 cause and effect. Then when you have a bodhicitta, then bodhicitta have 2 types, right? What are they? Yeah. No. And engaging bodhicitta. Aspirational bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta. Then, when you really think, because you have all the kind of knowledge and experience about 7 cause and effect, then again you really just stay in front of the Buddha statue, or you just visualize all the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, or if you have a guru in front of you, then you can request to your guru to give a Bodhisattva's vows, right? Bodhisattva vows. So before you taking the Bodhisattva vows, then you have to take, one of the Pratimokkha's vows. As a lay person, I say, better to take, 5 precept vows, a lay person vows. Then you must take Bodhisattva vows. So then, after you fully receive Bodhisattva vows, then you have the perfect foundation to practice Mahayana path. Renunciation, bodhicitta. Then bodhicitta is the foundation. Bodhicitta is the very strong aspirational kind of. Bodhicitta is very strong motivation to practice the 6 Prajnana Paramitas, right? So bodhicitta is the foundation. So between bodhicitta and Buddhahood, you have to practice what? 6 Prajnana Paramita. 6 paramitas, 6 Prajnana Paramitas. You should not think, only practice bodhicitta is enough. No. Okay, not enough. You have to practice. Second, you have to practice six pranjana paramitas. Again, within the six paramitas, what is the number 5? Huh? Perseverance, meditation, and wisdom. So number 5 is perseverance. Within the 6, number 1, what is the number 1? Generosity. Second, ethical discipline. Third, patience. The fourth, joyous perseverance. The fifth, meditative concentration. 6, wisdom. Now there's a two order. Make sure everybody, because you don't have a lot of time to read all the books. Simple, I'm trying to give you, the conclusion. After you, before you practice bodhicitta, when you practice bodhicitta, there's another, two kind of alternative practice of wisdom. That means someone practice the wisdom before generate bodhicitta. Okay? Someone practice, try to realize in emptiness, try to practice wisdom after generate bodhicitta. Right? Bodhicitta. Because what is the motivation, for generating bodhicitta? What is the main motivation you want to practice bodhicitta? What? Okay, benefit all sentient beings. You should not think, I want to practice bodhicitta in order to become a Buddha for, be, forever happy. I want to practice bodhicitta in order to become Buddhahood, then I can benefit all sentient beings. Do you remember there's two types of benefit? Temporarily and ultimate benefits. Do you remember I asked, when you do dedication, you need to think two importance. I want to dedicate this merit to benefit all sentient beings temporarily and ultimately. What is the temporarily benefits? Then I gave you the example, as like a children and mother, children and parents. When parent has a child, the parent gives food, clothes, what they need. But food, clothes is not the main important for the children as a children. What? Education. Right? All parents wish to give the good education for the children. Of course, at the same time, you provide food and clothes things. That means you wish all sentient beings, become a Buddha. This is your, ultimate benefit for all sentient beings. Temporarily, you can give, food and clothes and medicine, whatever you can give. So, then there's a question, can all sentient beings able to become a Buddha or not? Right? This is the big question. Also, you yourself, able to become Buddha or not? This is the big question, right? So that's why, in order to fully believe you yourself able to become a Buddha, all sentient being able to become a Buddha, then you really have to study the nature of mind. Nature of mind. That's why I told you, before practice bodhicitta, someone try to realize emptiness. They don't care, they understand emptiness of the house, car, doesn't matter. They try to understand emptiness of the mind. Emptiness of the mind, the nature of the mind. Because becoming Buddha is not just, someone become look good. It's not just someone become beautiful person. Becoming Buddha means, the person must eliminate all the negative thoughts, include ignorance. Then ignorance is also mind. Bodhicitta also a mind. How I can eliminate, minimize, eliminate, purify the ignorance? How? Then you have to realize, the mind, nature of the mind is ultimately pure, right? Pure. But temporarily, polluted by all the defilements. Then there's a two, one, Bodhisattvas, before generate bodhicitta, they realize emptiness. Then second, they practice bodhicitta. Some Bodhisattvas, first they generate bodhicitta, second they try to realize emptiness. Right? Then practice of 6 paramitas. Then there's an order. If you practice ethical discipline, purely, if you practice pure ethical discipline, then you're able to practice generosity. When you're able to practice generosity, then you're able to practice patience. Then patience, then start next one, joy, perseverance. If you have a good patience, if you are really patient person, then you have a joyous perseverance. When you have a joyous perseverance, then you can have the wisdom. When you have a wisdom, mainly wisdom, we're talking about wisdom of realize emptiness. The wisdom realize selflessness, right? Two types of selflessness. What are they? Selflessness of phenomena, selflessness of being or person. When you realize emptiness, when you realize impermanence, bodhicitta, great compassion, renunciation, then you fully focus on meditation. So that's why look at so wisdom chapter include the meditation chapter has a lot of pages. Wisdom has a lot of pages. So after I think 2 or 3 classes, then we will start the third book number 3, which is mainly about the wisdom. It has a lot of pages. I hope you will continue the study. Then 6 paramitas. Again, for you as a homework, we have another until next class. So you have 6 days. Go through, paramita 1 to 5. The definition, the division, and how to practice how to compoundly practice the 6 paramitas. Right? Okay, this is kind of revision. So now we will start the joyous perseverance. And also I think there's I hope you remember the order of the 6 paramitas, right? The order of 6 paramita. There's a few order why you have to practice the 6 paramita in order to have the perfect life, perfect happy life, this life. You have to practice 6 paramitas. In order to achieve nirvana, you have to practice the 6 paramitas. In order to become a Buddha, you have to practice 6 paramitas. Okay, as a test, generosity mainly become antidotes Which negative thoughts? Huh? Yeah. What do you say? Stingy, mainly attachment. Attachment about your belonging, generosity. Also, look at, we have attachment. For example, as a Singaporean, you have an attachment on Singapore. The attachment towards Singapore for you very easy to let it go. It is where first, of course, you have an attachment about Singapore. When you see some kind of politics problem, economic problem, then slowly you for easy to let it go. The attachment on Singapore. Then still you have an attachment about your relatives. It's a bit difficult to let it go. Still, due to certain problems, certain complex with your relatives, your brother and sister, still you can let it go easily. Finally, you have attachment about your physical body, mind, speech, your belonging. It's not easy to let it go, right? Let it go. That's why, what's the problem? If you have a true attachment toward your belonging, what's the problem? Why we have to reduce? Why? But of course, usually say, if you always be generous person, if you always give generosity, if you give things to others, in the future you have a lot of wealth. Right? People believe this way. We don't know. We don't know, because you have things this life, you give everything. Maybe this life you will become beggar. Maybe next life also you become beggar. We don't know. Right? We don't know. That's why the interesting story is really interesting. Also very good advice for us. There was a person in Tibet. I told the story one time. One day he got the story book of Milarepa. So he read the books constantly until end of the books. He was really inspired by the story of Lama Milarepa. He thought, I must be like Milarepa. Then he gave up everything, his house, cow, horse, donkey, field, everything give away for the village people. He went to retreat in the mountain. First day he was okay. The second day he missing the house because there's no enough good house in the mountain. They have to sleep under the rock, under the cave. Within I think few weeks he totally give up his practice. He came back to the village. Then village people asked, what happened to you? Because you give up everything, you went for retreat. Then he said, the beggar Milarepa make me beggar. Look at. That's why, when we read a books, we inspire you to practice Dharma, but you really have to think very carefully. That's mean, the practice of generosity. What's the problem? If you have a strong attachment and clinging in your possession, once within your brother and sister, one of your brother and sister is very stingy, always taking from you, never share with you, right? Do you think he's a nice person? Do you think she's a nice person? No. He or she always, keep things, but never share you. But he or she always asking things from you. He's not a good person, right? Even though if you have a strong clinging attachment or you are belonging, so difficult to share with someone, then you are become, kind of bad person in the society. The most problem, if you have a strong attachment and clinging, then you have a really difficulties while you are dying. This is, I think, very kind of serious kind of problem, difficult. Then, if look at you. Let's say everybody, we are in the hospital. If you are lucky, you are in the hospital with the, in the soft bed, the nurse, the medicine, everything. If you are not lucky, you are in home, with nothing. Even though now, it's a kind of end of this life. You are in the bed, in the house, or in the hospital. When you look at around, you can see your house. When you think, you can remember your cars, your money, your diamond, your gold, everything, right? So you really wish to carry with you. But you know you cannot carry. Also, you have a lot of worry, who going to bring my things? Then due to that reason, before you really, left this life, you have a strong attachment, all the belongings. That means you really wish to, stay with the belongings. Then what happened? Due to the negative karma, you will reborn, take a rebirth as like a insect, as a snake, as a mosquito, living around the house. Then look in the history, you say someone passed away, the person is become ghost, right? Not really, become ghost. He took a, formless rebirth. They're living in the house, attachment with the belonging. That's why generosity is the manly antidote of stingy and attachment. The second, what is the second? Ethically disciplined. Do you remember, if you're able to be generous, you're able to practice ethical discipline. The ethical discipline is also very important because this is kind of, again, foundation and basis of practice of Dharma. So as a homework, you must read few times about the 6 Pragya Paramita, page by page, and you make a conclusion. Then when you practice, you don't have to open the Lamrim books. You can practice, straight away. So now we study, I think it's a 4 o'clock, we have a half hour, then we're going to have a tea breaks. Okay, before we start the new class, we should have a little time for question and answer. If there's not clear something, if I need to clarify, please ask question before we start the new chapter. Any question? You can ask any question related to the Lamrim. If you have other problem about Dharma. Any question? No?
So regarding the selflessness of self phenomena, which one should come first, or it's easier to practice?
He asked a question because I talk about the two selflessness. Selflessness of phenomena, selflessness of being or person. Now we just think about ourselves. Selflessness of your body, selflessness of your 5 aggregates, selflessness of yourself, I. There's an order how the arise sense of, like a I. First we say I. That's first you focus on I. Then second we say mine. Right? First say I am happy. I am not happy. I will go there. I will come back there. Always we talk in I. Second, then say, this is mine. This belongs to me. This is mine. That means there's a I and mine. Clear? I, then mine. When we say mine, okay, make sure. First say I, right? I. This is my pen. This is my, like a, what do you call this pen? Marker pen. This is my pen. This is my. That means this object belongs to whom? Belongs to I and me. Right? That means when we say I go, the mind only focus the I. Focus on I. But look at it. It's a bit confusion for you. It's also, I think, very confusing for many people. Just think based on your experience. I am not happy. Everybody say, I am not happy. I am not happy. I am happy. Right? When you say, I am not happy, that time you have a unpleasant feeling. Right? You have an unpleasant feeling due to some reason. Unpleasant feeling. You feel unpleasant feeling. Right? That's why you said, I'm not happy. The feeling, the unpleasant feeling is not you. Right? It's not you. You're not you. You are experiencing what? The unpleasant feeling. The unpleasant feeling is your feeling. Due to that you say, I'm not happy. The person who say, the words is not you. Right? I'm not happy. The word is not you. The unpleasant feeling is not you. Then, who is really you? Who is I who say I'm not happy? The mind is not happy. The mind is not you. The unpleasant feeling is not you. Then who really you are? Where is the I? I. Right? I. Then you have to think about I is not exist independently. I am exist only depending on 5 aggregates or 4. We human beings, we have 5 aggregates. Thus, formless being has only 4 aggregates. The 4 aggregates is the basis of I. 5 aggregates is basis of I, me, human, cow, sheep. Because I am from Ladakh, I always say sheep and cow. Singapore, which animal is popular? Dog, I think, dog. Dog. Due to the 5 aggregates, then we can say this is dog, this is cow. Whatever we name as a being, sentient being or human being, based on what? 5 aggregates. In order to understand the selflessness of I, first you must realize selflessness of phenomena. Clear? Before you realize selflessness of I, first you must realize selflessness of phenomena or 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates is the basis. So how we can realize, how we can discover the selflessness of phenomena? Then there's a very simple logics, simple and very effective kind of, important logic. The person is not exist inherently. Okay, the person, you talking yourself, I am not exist inherently. If I am exist inherently, I must exist inherently 1 or 2. This is the logic. Clear? I am not exist inherently, independently, solely. I'm not exist. I'm exist, but not inherently. Because not exist inherently 1 is inherently 2. All phenomena must be 1, must be true. This 2 is 1 or 2? True. Right? True. This is 1. Again, is true. The phenomena must be 1, must be true. There's only 2 options. Be 1, be true. Like be true. This 1. That means if I am, I exist independently one or independently true. Right? You cannot be independently true because you are just one. Then why not independently one? If you exist independently one, then you never depend on anything. Also, you must know you are depending on so many things. Okay? Based on his question, I said, first arise I, then second arise mine. This is the order of how arise I and my. Look at I arise, then second my. Second my arise, then attachment, anger, everything arise. For example, you don't have a very strong attachment sense of this is my, right? If you don't have a very strong sense of mine, if somebody break it, you don't care. If you have a strong sense of mine, somebody touch, you get angry and upset. Don't touch it. Of course, somebody break, you're going to get crazy. Because you have a sense of mine. You have a sense of my because you have a sense of I. You have a sense of I is very strongly because you don't understand how the I is exist. You don't understand how I exists. This is how, the errors. That's why Chandrakirti said, first you have attachment sense of I. Second, you have a sense of attachment mind. Then all the defilement, negative thoughts arise based of this. Then the realizing order. First, you must know selflessness of 5 aggregates. Then you're going to understand selflessness of I. Bit difficult to understand, but you have to study. You really have to think very often. Then you're going to understand emptiness. Then you're going to really minimize the ignorance, eliminate. If you don't want to be Buddha, you don't want to be kind of Arhat, you don't want to wish Nirvana, that's okay. If you really think want to be Buddha, wish to be Aji Buddhahood, then you really instead of right doing a lot of recitation, chanting, do this kind of I'm not saying don't do. You must chant, you must recite, you do all the dharma activities, all the dharma action. You spend less time with the dharma action, spend more time about the meditation and reflection. Clear? It's really good for you. If you go this kind of practice for 1 year or few months, then you can see there's a lot of changes in your mind. If you always attend class, attend teaching, you always spend a lot of time with the chanting, recitation, prostration, making offering, chanting, then you cannot see any changes. You cannot feel yourself, I am changed. Also, you cannot see other people really change. Right? That's why it's so important to do, the proper meditation after chanting. So we have a tea break. So we have, I think, coffee and tea. Enjoy tea and coffee. If you feel tired, you just walk around. Then we. Okay, so the book number 3, I think we will start in the from the Vesak month as auspicious Vesak month, and also I think Geshe Dujirimdullah is coming to Singapore here, and also he's going to give teaching about the wisdom chapter, right? Wisdom chapter, which is really good sign, very auspicious sign, because we just finished the Lamrim until the wisdom. So Geshe Dujirimdullah will give, really profound teaching about the wisdom. Then, we continuously study the wisdom chapter. So when we, when you study, when we have a class about wisdom chapter, the class will be very dry. It will be very dry. Not like laksa with the oily, chili, tasty, sour, will be very dry. Make sure, you after you attend one lesson or two lessons, make sure you should not give up. From my side, from me, I put effort as much as I can. The subject will be, the topic will be very dry because the subject is very profound. So many, the term is, you never used to it. That's why you feel very dry. Also, someday you think, it's too much. I don't think we need to study all of them. It's not. Simply, it explains, what is the wrong perception about the emptiness? What is our own, view, perception about the emptiness? How we must clarify all the wrong perception. It's quite simple topic, but when we study, I think it's a bit difficult to understand. So, any of you wish to attend that lesson, at the beginning you should think the subject very dry. Okay. And also, I always request, all the Dharma brother and sister, whoever attend, wherever you attend and the Dharma classes, make sure every day you practice it. Doesn't matter how long or short, you must practice every day. If you're able to do the practice, you must practice the Dharma Lamrim for 24 hours. 24-hour practice Dharma doesn't mean you have to stay at home. You every day, read the Lamrim, you do recitation, chanting. Just bring all the, ideas, practice of Dharma, your every activities. When you speak with your friends, your relatives, your co-worker, make sure you should not have a sense of ego. Make sure you should not have a sense of hatred towards someone. When you go in the supermarket, of course you have to buy things which you need. But when you go in the supermarket, you have a sense of attachment for buying everything. It's unnecessary attachment. That means, every moment, every action, you bring the Dharma within you. And also sometimes, you see some person in a very strange way, suddenly you feel, you get angry, upset. At that moment, you remember the Lamrim, Dharma, stop to have a anger, have a hatred. And also sometimes you see the beautiful object, beautiful person, attractive person. Make sure your mind is not clinging too much. Make sure you are not clinging the beautiful object, beautiful person. Reduce, stop. This means, if your mind, 24, if your Dharma minds with you for 24 hours, then, there's a less chance to have accumulating negative karma. There are a lot of, good chance to accumulate merit. So that's why you must practice, you must study, you must do meditation every day, doesn't matter long or short, you must do the practice, you must do the meditation. Then again, when you think about, I want to do practice of Dharma, suddenly you get out your mala from pocket, you just do recitation, which is good. It's not the ultimate practice of Dharma. When you think about doing practice of Dharma, number one should thought how I can reduce all the negative thoughts, how I can, increase, generate the positive thoughts. That means again, you need to, fight. You need to fight with the negative thoughts. Okay, so next one, the new lesson, page number 182. The perfection of joyous perseverance. How to train in the perfection of joyous perseverance. This section has 5 parts. What are the 5 parts? Number one, what joyous perseverance is. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, summary. That's why, if you don't remember all the words, you must remember, the sections. Look at what joyous perseverance is. Because we have been talking about joyous perseverance. We're talking about 6 paramita. Actually, what joyous perseverance is. This means it tells us how you must recognize what does mean joyous perseverance. Because in Tibetan, this text, translated from Tibetan language. In Tibetan language, we have 2 words, Tsun Du. Tsun Du. Then the Tsun Du, the words, translate from Sanskrit or translate from, Indian language. Mainly, I think they need to use 2 words, Tsun Du. Tsun means effort. Tsun. Du is, put effort on positive actions. Even though you put lot of effort for, focusing on negative action, it's still effort, but not joy perseverance. That means, number one, you must recognize what joyous perseverance is. Second, how to begin. That means, yes, this is the joy perseverance. Then how to begin the practice of joy perseverance. Like, for example, where's the Malaysia? Yeah, that is the Malaysia. First, you need to know that is Malaysia. Second, how to go there. Right? All Dharma practice, like first you must recognize, second you know how to practice. Third, divisions. Yes, there is Malaysia. How I can go? You can go by bus, or you can fly. You can go by ship. That means number 3. How many division within the Malaysia? Same thing. How many division within the joyous perseverance? That means when you practice joy perseverance, you must know the division. If you know the division, then I'm practicing this perseverance this morning. Now I'm practicing, that one. If you don't have the knowledge about division, then you don't know when you must practice the joy perseverance. For example, generosity has how many parts? How many division? Generosity has how many division? 3. What are they? Giving a lap. You're reading the notes book, huh? Which is good, look at. So that's why somebody asks you to do practice of, generosity. Then you're thinking, I must give something, right? Suddenly you have this kind of mind, right? No, which kind of, what kind of generosity I must practice? Then mean giving the material things, or giving teaching include into, giving, in education, and giving life. As a Singapore, you have a wonderful tradition because you always give you always do the fish liberation. Right? Fish liberation means you are giving life, real life. If you don't release this fish, they're going to kill within a few days, few weeks. That means the division is so important. Then how to practice? Summary. Look at, you cannot see this kind of, what do you call this one? No subject, headlands, right? What's the name you can call this one? With Tibetan called saje, kind of sections or heading, subheading or heading, So only you can see in the Tibetan text, heading, subheading, all the definition thing. When you read that the books written by Indian master, there's not really, this kind of, heading and subheading, subdivision. In Tibetan master, they make a really new rules, too easy to follow the text. Number 1, A, what joyous perseverance is. When you have focus, look at, when you have focus upon something virtuous, joy perseverance is enthusiasm for it. Now you can learn what does mean joy perseverance. When you have focus upon what? Something which is virtuous. Virtuous, right? Then joy perseverance is enthusiasm for it. That means the joy perseverance always need to focus on something which is virtuous. Right? Even though you have put effort, you are focusing kind of negative activities, negative things, also neutral. For example, you really want to eat, like a particular food. That means your mind is focusing on what? We are focusing on food. Right? For example, the food is in the, let's say, Marina Basin. So you are here, you really want to eat the food. That means your mind fully focused to the food. Then you need to put effort. You need to drive, you need to walk. You cannot fly, right? From here you need to walk. Then you do effort. This is put effort on the neutral things, not positive, neither negative. But it never considered as a joy perseverance. That means something virtuous. Then this is, which focusing. The next one, look at joy perseverance is enthusiasm for it. That means focus on the positive actions, then your mind really want to achieve. That means what is next one, Shanti Deva, right? Engage in the Bodhisattva deeds. What is joyous perseverance? It is delight in virtues. Delight in virtues. The Bodhisattva level explained it as a flawless state of mind that is enthusiastic about accumulating virtues and working for the welfare of living being, together with the physical, verbal and mental activities such as state of mind motivates. This sentence you fully explain you what does mean joy perseverance, how to focus, what is the kind of actions, working for the welfare of living beings together with the physical, verbal, mental activities such as state of mind motivates. Right? This is the kind of definition of joy perseverance. So this is very important. Look at, together with the physical, verbal and mental activities such as state of mind motivates. That means you focus on the virtues, then the mind fully focused on the virtues. Then due to the motivation, then your physical body, your body and mind speech is acting, moving. here we have a very important kind of lesson for us. Whatever action we have done, whatever action we are doing, all actions motivated by what? Motivated by mind. Mind. So, positive actions or negative action is mainly depend on the mind. If the mind act positively, then the action is positive action. If the mind acts negatively, then all actions become negative. Even though, for example, a very simple example, I just sit on the, on the bed, I hold mala. Look, I'm doing like this, I'm reciting mantra, mantra. My action look like positive actions. It doesn't mean it's really positive action. It can be negative action. If I have a kind of negative motivation, okay, then, for example, negative motivation, okay, the student is coming to see me, I just sit, it's like meditation position in enrichment. Actions look nice, right? But the motivation was what? Focus on money. Right? Then, another, there's a many master who are look little bit crazy. Look like crazy, okay, the student is coming with the food, or clothes, or money, they get, oh, the student is coming, they really, I don't want to see them, I'm like good monks, they do a lot of kind of negative actions, physically negative actions. Then thought, oh, the monks, the Rinpoche is not good, the action is not that good. But the motivation was very good. That means acts are negative, but the action is positive action because the motivation was positive. Now look at practice of dharma or in dharma or in non-dharma is mainly about motivation. When you focus on the positive action, then you act physically, verbally, is become positive. That's why look, it says, motivates. How to begin the practice of joy perseverance is same. Frequently reflect upon the benefit of joyously persevering, right, and the faults of the not doing so. It's same thing, all practices. You need to reflect upon the benefit, what kind of benefit you can have, what kind of loss you have. For you will develop joy perseverance if you habituate yourself to the reflection. That means, so before we practice the joy perseverance, look at our daily life. We always make a calculation, right? We always make a calculation. We always think, okay, if I do this, what kind of benefit I can have? If I do this, what kind of loss I can have? We always make a calculation, right? We always think this way. The same thing, when you practice dharma, you must think, if I practice joy perseverance, what kind of benefit I can have? If I don't practice, what kind of loss I can have? Then you really have to see very clearly, if I practice joy perseverance, I can have all this benefit. If I don't practice, I can have all this loss and all the problem. Then you can have strong desire. Desire can be positive, can be not always negative. In positive desire, you have a desire to practice joy perseverance because you can see all the good benefits. Then, if you don't have a time to practice joy perseverance, then you feel unhappy because you know you lost something. You're going to lose something. Right? This means always reflect upon the benefit of joyously perseverancing and the faults of not doing so. For you will develop joy perseverance if you habituate yourself. That means you have to be, you need a good habit to knowing, to realize all the good all the benefits, all the loss. This next, there are so many quotation. Actually, most of the quotation come from Buddhist way of life. That's why I thought we must read the chapter today. Okay, next one. the sentence, the quotation, always rely upon noble, joyous perseverance, which clear away all suffering and darkness. Okay, please everybody read first sentence. Always
rely upon noble, joyous perseverance, which clears away all suffering and darkness, which raises freedom from the and which is praised by all the Buddhas. One who joyously perseveres has no difficulty accomplishing any project, whether mundane or supreme, who among the learned is heartened by joyous perseverance. Those who accept of the Buddha's enlightenment, see the cause of the condition and achievements, and then continue to persevere with enthusiasm, step by step.
Okay, so now look at the three sentences explain the benefit of joy perseverance, right? The number one, look at the sentence number one, always rely upon noble, joyous perseverance. Yeah, look at the novel is also again translate Tibetan, then have to add noble. Certainly you can say upon the joy perseverance, which is clear away all suffering and darkness. Right? Now you can see the benefit. Clear away all suffering and darkness, which is the basis of freedom from miserable realms, and which is the praised by all the Buddhas. So how you can clear away all suffering if you practice joyous perseverance? How? Because joy perseverance always focus upon the positive action. Positive action. When you always have a positive action, then there's no more suffering, right? No more suffering. If you then not only that, if you always act positively, then there's no misery, because you have the positive actions. And again here, the misery or not, there's another, I think, important to explain. I think some people has a misunderstanding positive action and negative action. We thought the positive action, also we believe, also Buddha said, positive action give you always happiness. Positive karma always give you happiness. The happiness has a kind of three levels, three different kind of, levels, right? Levels. First, the samsaric happiness. Second is happiness is we got beyond the samsaric happiness, which is beyond the samsaric levels. Third is ultimate kind of happiness. That means samsaric happiness, beyond the samsaric happiness, then ultimate happiness. If you only practice without practice of renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, if you practice a lot of generosity, of course you are accumulating a lot of positive karma. The positive karma give rise only samsaric happiness. Make sure samsaric happiness, not beyond the samsaric happiness. Second, if you practice the generosity, six paramita, based on renunciation, emptiness, it gives you beyond the samsaric happiness. Then if you practice the six pranjana paramita, renunciation, emptiness, bodhicitta, then give rise the ultimate happiness, which is the Buddhahood. What are the differences, three of them? Look at, for example, we have been experiencing the samsaric happiness. We have a healthy body, we have a nice food, we have good clothes, everything arises based on what? Positive action. So we always experience, the samsaric happiness, but we feel we are not happy, right? Samsaric happiness. If positive action doesn't mean it gives you always ultimate, beyond the samsaric happiness. That's why when you practice 6 paramita, the 6 paramita practice, with the conjoined with the emptiness. Then the positive action give you happiness which is beyond the samsara. Then 6 paramita you need to conjoin with the emptiness, bodhicitta. Then it gives you, ultimate happiness. That's why, you should not think simply, focus, the positive action. The positive action must be conjoined with the emptiness, bodhicitta, renunciation. Then, you fully free from suffering. Then you, freedom from the miserable realms. Otherwise, we human being, we born as a human being due to the positive action, but we face lot of misery. We have lot of misery, right? We have lot of suffering. This means, and again important, related to the middle scope being practice. Do you remember karma has a generally positive karma, negative karma, right? Everybody knows that. Within the positive karma, the positive action, how many types of positive action are there based on the Lamrim? 3, right? 3, I think 3. Yeah, 3. No, I'm not saying thing. Yeah, there are 3. There are 3 types of positive karma. Positive karma. What are they? One karma only give you, samsaric or, happiness. Second is we call, unchangeable karma. Third we call meditative karma. Right? So you can read in about the middle scope being, particularly karma, then you're going to learn this one. And also I told you many times, make sure you should not mix karma and merit. Merit, right? Karma, positive karma and merit should not mix. What is the differences between positive karma and merit? Do you remember? Yeah, what's the differences between merit? Okay, yeah, which is Sonam said is correct. Without practice of, bodhicitta, renunciation, emptiness, all the positive action just simply become positive karma, karma, not merit, not become merit. All the action conjoined with the renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, then all the action become merit. Merit means is cause to achieve Buddhahood, cause to achieve liberation. It never going to end. The more you experience the result, it never going to end. The simple positive karma is look like, once you result repent, the positive karma is cease. The merit is look like ocean. The simple positive karma is like a stream water, is a creek. If there's a hot water, weather, the creek going to dry. The ocean remains for many, many years. It's really never going to end. The more you drink, the more you will come. So related to the, free, the focus on the positive. The next sentence, ornament of the Mahayana Sutra states. Okay, everybody read. Supreme among virtues. Based on it, you subsequently attain the rest. Through it, again, supreme state of joy. Life. Supreme enlightenment. And also,
one who has joyous perseverance is not brought down by prosperity, afflictions, discouragement, or petty.
okay, so now, this all of this explain mainly the benefit of practice of joy perseverance. So I ask you to read, because when you read, then you got some kind of mental imprint. So you don't remember all the words by words. At least you remember, the meaning, the benefit of practice of perseverance. Next, we just jump to page number 184, the division of joy's perseverance. Okay, why not? We have a little time, so we should read the chapter 5. I think everybody has the book, right? Buddhist way of life. Oh yeah. No problem. Okay, so why I ask you to read today? Because most of the quotation, from the chapter 5. So thank you so much, recite the chapter 7. So actually, in Tibetan we say, there's not any better instruction about bodhicitta other than this book. Is very important. So within the chapter, there's all of is very, very important. When you have free time, please, read one of the chapter. Usually when we have the Dharma Protector Puja, beginning of the puja, we always recite one of the chapter. Then people can familiar with the chapter. Can I have the English version? So I thought few things. Chapter 7, right? Me to la the Lord's I'm not sure which sentence is talking about the human boat. Which sentence number? Sentence number? 14. Oh yeah, right, 14. Relying upon the boats of a human body, free yourself from the great river of pain. As it is hard to find this boat again, this is not the time for sleep. You falls, right? It's a very important advice. Because in order to cross the river of samsara, river of suffering, we need a boat to cross the river. Right now we have the boat, which is human body, which is human life. So this is the very important moment for us. Free yourself from the great river, as it is hard to find this boat again. So maybe this is the first time we have a human life. We don't know. So that's why you should not waste the time, should not waste your energy. That's why I said this is not time for sleep. That means sleep means it is not time for the laziness. Because we always be lazy when we study Dharma, practice Dharma. This is very important advice. Look at, this is not the time for sleep. This is not the time for lazy. This is not the time for just, eating. Must put effort, try to cross the river of samsara. Then next, there's another sentence. This is, it's okay to cut my head, right? Somewhere. Then it's okay to burn me, kill me, cut my head, but I'm not going to which sentence number? 62, maybe I'll see 62, I think quite below. 62, yeah. It would be better for me to be burned, to have my head cut off, and to be killed, rather than never bowing down to those ever present disturbing conception. Look at, people, when somebody say, I want burn you in the fire, you say, no, I don't. Look at, there's two options. It's okay to burn in the fire, or you want to bow down to the, the disturbing conception. Which is you want to choose? You want to bow down to the disturbing conception, or it's okay to burn yourself? Look at, it's very important, right? That means you never ever let all the negative emotion arise. Because if somebody kill you, it kill your one life. If negative emotion let it arise, it give us always suffering problems, right? That's why I thought it was important to read this chapter. So if you have a time, please read again and again. So before we move, we need to study a little bit about the faults of not joyously perseverance. Question of the Sangakra Mati Sutra. So if you don't practice the joyously perseverance, what is the false, what's loss? Look at, the enlightened man of the lazy is existingly far off the distance. The lazy lack all perfection from generosity to wisdom. The lazy do not work for other welfare, right? So laziness. So when we practice, generally we never think I'm going to study, practice Dharma. When we think, when we start, suddenly we feel tired, we feel thirsty, we feel hungry, we remember to do something. It's due to the laziness. Okay, if you are not lazy, look at, for example, somebody said, tomorrow I will give $1 million. Who will first come, I will give it. Then everybody rush without sleeping, without eating. You never feel thirsty and hungry, right? We will go and try to get $1 million. Because that time we have a strong desire to get $1 million. Then we forget all the difficulties. The lazy is, existent from far off the distant. That means enlightened man is close or far, is depend on your laziness. If you are not lazy, if you always practice Dharma seriously, the enlightened man is not so far. Even though you do a lot of Dharma activities, if you are not really serious about study, meditation about Dharma, the enlightened man is so far. And also if you are lazy, then lazy lack all perfection You cannot practice any, prajnana paramitas. And also generally, if you are a lazy person, you are not, work for others. Even though you are not work for yourself. You can see within your society, within your families and brothers and sisters, someone always be lazy. The person cannot get anything. Right? The person always, alert, active, put effort. And the person can get everything. That means, we should not be lazy about practice of Dharma. We should not be lazy about meditation. It's okay to be lazy with the samsaric activities. Yeah. When you need to do samsaric activity, be lazy. When you need to do Dharma activity, be alert. Okay, I think then we stop here. So next, I think I'll give you, a lot of homework. Do you remember all the homework? Huh? You must read about the 6 paramita, right?
1 to 5.
Huh?
1 to 5. 6 parameters. Chapter 1.
No, chapter 1, huh? You read, because as a homework, you just read, about the 5 prajnana paramitas. Chapter 1 to 5. Chapter 1 to 5. So this means, you should not remember all the words. You must remember the definition, the division, how to practice, particularly when you study about the patience. Patience is the longest chapter, right? How you have to be patient. You have to, be patient based on object, subject, result things. So please everybody, do the proper homework. So next time I will ask one by one. Then you must give me answer. Then, so the wisdom chapter, or we will start from the Vesak month. Okay, so thank you so much for attending the class. So we will do the dedication prayers.